So what we're doing is we're going to swap out these two lead acid batteries and making these lithium kits. So what I've done is, using these cells, these are the holders that goes into these boxes. The lids come off and they slide into there when they're... So essentially I've grouped them in the banks, and it's just a matter of putting and you just keep going down till you get full. Remember, it's a 6S setup over the two batteries, and you've got to alternate positive, negative, positive, negative. So when you put the strip on them, it becomes in series. So I'll go ahead and put all the cells in. Okay, they're on, but not properly. I'm just going to lightly tap them just on the floor to get them down nice and firm. Also, there's two BMSs there, one for each side. They clip under there, and then the nickel strip will come across the top and fold into that. Most likely be putting their wires on first that connect to the terminals on the top of the batteries, and they just get soldered into here. With both BMSs in place, ready for the next step, assure that you got them the same way. The 0 volt, or the starting point on a negative, is the same as the next one you do, so you don't have two different batteries. A new spot welder, I'm just trialing out for the first time. What I've learnt is, I started that in the groove at this end. It was sort of in the groove that end, not properly, but in the middle it didn't seem to line up properly. So there's one here that nearly burnt through, and it's not connected to the battery, can't get into it. So I can just put some solder down in there. It might defeat the purpose of spot welding, but it's all I can do. Now looking at the dimples, maybe it's too high, I don't know. So I'm going to just lower that a little bit for the next strip on the side here, and then see what it comes out with. You can see as you go across, this here doesn't quite sit in, where that's all the way to the other edge. So either I have it wrong, or the holder is not perfect. So the best layout would be there with that little bit up here hard to get to. Let's see if it all works and I've got it in the right order, and they all soldered up. I run the battery terminal wires straight through the top, and it seems to be a bit better. Also, the thickness of the wire behind here is holding this a little bit up because it's sort of too thick. I found when I come through the side on this one, the heat from here went through the case of the wire. So through here, it keeps it off there, and there's no chance of shorting out. All done. Now to check to make sure it comes out of the terminals the right way, we'll just double check. And yes, 12.35, and that one's the correct way around as well, 12.35. Also, now I'm playing with a 6S, which I don't usually play with 6S. I just wrote on the batteries 3S. My writing looks like a 5, but just so I can remember, each block fully charged 4.2 volts. I set the charger 12.6. In theory, I should be able to set them over the two of them because the balancers would do the job. But I've got to make sure my end voltage is no more than 25.2, not 29.4. So each pack is 192 watts, and I've made my note down here, even though it's easy enough to double, but I like to see the higher number looks better. Anyway, that's ready to go in the lawnmower The only concerns I do have, the lawnmower apparently is like 20 amps, but I've used a 15 amp wire to the terminals. You can't put much bigger wires on those BMSs. It won't take it. So before I actually run it, I'm going to go back on my notes and see what the BMS can actually handle on the output. Otherwise, this might not be adequate for the mower. I'm willing to give it a go. If mount some wires, it'll be fun. Dangerous, but fun. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and please subscribe. Capacity for a cell is 2.5 amp or 2500 milliamp with the normal voltage 3.6 according to the data sheets. And this is what we're going to look at. Charge rate is 1.25 amp, or fast charge can handle up to 4 amp, and a discharge of 20 amp on one cell, which is great because we're going to have 7 in parallel, so it can handle the discharge rate. The cutoff voltage can go down as far as 2.5 volt. So what I'm doing is, on paper these cells are 42 cells in total. So 2 sets, 1 for each battery, 7 each bank. It's 105 amp. To get the storage, or the watt hours, is 105 times by the normal voltage, which is 378 watt hours.